Look, can we see the amount of people in the room? Was that your computer or?
I think that's everybody. That's everybody, right? George? That's everybody.
Good morning, commissioners.
Morning.
Good morning, Kat. We can't, oh, we can see you now.
Yeah.
I delayed the meeting because you had to have a key for the Lua and I didn't realize that.
Georgia.
Make it very complicated.
Aloha and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the February 15th, 9 o'clock a.m. meeting of the Hawaii Correctional System Oversight Commission. Happy New Year, Commissioners. This is my first meeting of the year with you folks. Thank you, Martha, for taking care of our last meeting. Let's just do our roll call. Mike Town here, Ronald Ibarra here, Martha Tournay
Here,
Mark Patterson here, and of course, I want to say, you know, Ted. We all know that Ted resigned, and we're praying, continue to pray for his journey of health. We had a late call last night that the governor has chosen to fill the position. We haven't had any formal confirmation. Should I make an announcement?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we believe that Judge Browning has been appointed to fill Ted's position on the commission. For those of you who may not know, Judge Browning just retired from First Circuit as the senior judge. Yeah, so we look forward to connecting with Judge Browning and hopefully, and when we can, to bring him on to be part of the commission. We're very excited to have his experience along with Judge Town and Judge Ibarra, of course, from the judicial system, and the fact that he was one of our leaders in our juvenile justice reform. Martha?
yeah, I was just gonna bring that up, that when we started the Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative, I was one of the representatives on that group. And Judge Browning, at the beginning, he was kind of a reluctant participant, and within 2 years, he became the biggest champion. And the reason we have so few girls locked up today is because of that project, and he was a big supporter of it. So I really welcome him coming on board.
We're very, very much excited about him having on board, in addition to us. So thank you, Governor Green, for the appointment. Now that we have quorum present, let's look at our minutes, Commissioners, of the January 18th meeting. I'll take a motion to accept.
So moved,
Moved by Mike Town, second.
Martha.
Martha, been moved by Mike Town and seconded by Martha Tournay that we accept the minutes dated January 18th, 2024 of the Hawaii Correctional System Oversight Commission. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a vote. All in favor of accepting the minutes as printed, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say same. Motion passed. As we move on to item 4 of our agenda, public testimony, I want to remind our viewers who are on that we would want to keep our testimonies for the agenda items that you see listed, that was posted on our website at this time. And please raise your digital hand or your real hand, for those of you I can see, and we'll open up our public testimony at this time. Good morning, Kat.
Good morning, commissioners. I just wanted to report on the hearing of SB 3283, which was the bill attacking our coordinator. The community just showed out in force. They showed face, they wrote testimony. It was amazing. There were 54 testimonies, all in support, no opposition. Chair Patterson was amazing. Martha, thank you so much for your testimony supporting the commission. And it was duly noted by the community that the 2 judges did not even submit any kind of support for the commission. And that was very, very disappointing to the community. Prosecutors from Hawaii and Hawaii Island also supported, as well as 2 ACOs from OCCC who testified at great peril to themselves. And that was really, really wonderful. The bill was the last bill on the 301 agenda on a Friday, and I think they were shocked that so many people hung out. We stayed and we actually testified. And what was interesting is after the hearing, the chair said, well, the best thing about the bill is it showed Kristen has a lot of friends. Well, she does have many people who love her, but the community really loves democracy. We really love accountability and transparency. Thank you. I have something else that I'll hold till the next one.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you so much. Anyone else on the Zoom that would like to comment at this time on our agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 5. Hey, Tommy,
Hello, good morning, everybody.
we'll give you the floor at this time for your update.
Okay, so I wanted to introduce our new Deputy Director for Correctional Institutions, Pamela Stirs. She's here to my left.
Welcome.
Welcome. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
So we'll coordinate a meeting with Christian so she can meet with the commissioners and just meet with you two guys as the chair and the coordinator pretty soon. She just hit the ground earlier this week. So she came back the next day and the second day, so she might be a keeper. Okay.
And where do you come from, Patricia?
Pamela.
Oh, Pamela, I'm sorry.
I retired from the Wisconsin Department of Corrections. And then I served 3 years overseas in Kosovo before coming to Hawaii.
And who were you with in Kosovo, the military?
I was actually contracted for rule of law, human rights, and prison reform. It was a program through the Department of Justice in Washington.
Very good. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so with that said, we're still in the process of doing a transition from correction rehabilitation. We're still doing the badging for the cars. We have working on the uniform issues now with the staff. Policy and procedures are done. Now we have to do the forms for those. We are working with a company to update our website, as you guys will see when you go there. We have a marketing strategy in place. We're doing new recruitment efforts, both in the doing job fairs and at the universities. So far, so good. We do have in our budget as part of the transition, we did ask for funding to $45 million to build a consolidated healthcare unit at Palau, and I want to make it clear that it's not a forensic facility. It's a 41-bed consolidated healthcare unit that will have 11 beds for suicide and safety watch, and it will be able to accommodate some folks with mental health issues while they wait to transition over to the state hospital. But it is not a forensic facility. Senator Kurt Mabella introduced a bill that would require us to build a mental health facility, and that's really not what we should be doing. We would defer to the Department of Health on that. There was a hearing with Senator San Buenaventura's committee, and she held an informational briefing last week, and we provided information to her regarding the number of transfers from the different facilities to the state hospital, which doubled over the last year to year and a half. I think that was an eye opener for folks. I do think the state hospital will need more bed space, to be perfectly frank, but also that having someone with serious mental health issues in a jail setting is, as I said before, it is the least effective, most costly option. And so we will work with the Department of Health as much as possible and the legislature on that issue. We also asked for funding in our budget regarding funding to look for a site for a Kona for an OCCC, about 120 bed facility. About a third of the population from ECCC are from Kona. We believe by keeping them in the neighborhood, they can maintain that connectivity with their families. We wouldn't have wear and tear on the vehicles. And we would look at placing it somewhere near the current courthouse There is a lot of water and sewer infrastructure in that area, so that would save tens of millions of dollars. There is money in our budget, as you know, to relocate, to look for a site selection for the new KCCC, because it's in the flood inundation zone. We did locate 2 lots on the same side of the road a little bit before that, where the facility is now. One is owned by DLNR. Another is owned by OHA. And so as part of the process, we will be discussing with them the feasibility of either a swap or whatever it costs to get that parcel of land. There is also money in our budget, CIP budget. We originally asked for 96.5 million. We did receive 89.5 with the balance being in different trade-offs. 18 million of that is to replace the fencing at the Halal Correctional Facility. That's the original fencing from 1985 or 87 when it opened. To replace, there's a cost in there to replace the fencing in Maui, which is pretty bad as well. And so we would appreciate if the commission would take a look at that and provide your support. I did speak to the chairs of the House and Senate Money Committees about our requests. I also provided them with some information recently about funding, the percentage of funding from the unified jurisdictions around the country, including Hawaii, how much of percentage of the overall budget is spent on those issues. Christian, I just sent that to them yesterday, so I'll send that to you as well. And you can see we fall way behind spending our institutions in other jurisdictions. And so it really shows when you look at our facilities. I think there's a direct correlation between the two. With respect to OCCC, we are working with our consultants to finalize a staffing and operational cost report for the planning and design for the facility. So I want to make it clear, though, no set design has been approved. So what you see on the website and in the presentations, just a rendering. We do know that we can't go more than 4 stories high because there is a height limitation in that particular area over by the animal quarantine site. And that staffing and planning operational costs that's just based on best case scenario for a facility. So once a facility is actually designed, the staffing and operational cost issues will change. I would like to take full advantage of AI in the facility as much as possible, artificial intelligence, as well as electronics to decrease the staffing but maintain the same level of security. But I also like to take advantage of different types of lighting, different type of solar to reduce the overall operating cost of the facility. So, but we're not at that point yet. When we get there, I'll work with DAGS and our consultants on it. There should be an RFI or RFQ released in April to early May, with an RFP going out later this year in October or November, I believe. Hopefully with bids to come in sometime early next year. And so the plan is, from speaking with Ms. Salveri, the Director of Budget and Finance, is that it would be a lease buyback, kind of a P3 type deal, depending on I would imagine that it'd have to be a 30-year marriage between us and the developer, who would come in and build a facility, and we would operate the facility, but they would maintain the facility with respect to serious maintenance issues. So
They would maintain, is that what you just said? The private company would maintain the facility?
meaning, yeah, like, so in case in point, if elevator went down for a certain period of time, then we would find them, and that would come from the annual payment. That's what I mean by maintaining it, the facility.
Okay, because you know, as we're well aware, Tommy, the state of Hawaii is not good at maintaining any facility. And so yeah, we all have concerns about that.
Yeah, and so that's why that would be, when I talked to Louis Silveria, I recommended some specific language to address that, to address the maintenance of the facility. I think there was some concern with DPW regarding privatization, but when I spoke to Kalani Warner and I spoke to some of the staff that showed up at the hearing, who were concerned with privatization, but it's not privatization. I think they misunderstand the approach. The state doesn't have the money to go out to spend almost $1 billion for a new facility. So the developer would come in and build it for the state. The state would operate it and make an annual payment. And after the 30-year period, whatever that marriage would be, then the state would actually outright own the property and it would be theirs and transfer it to them. That's different than having a private company like Core Civic come in and build and run a facility, which there's no discussion whatsoever about that type of operation at all. Other than that, that's all I have as far as updates go. I do know there's not that much legislation that affects public safety this year. There is the solitary confinement bill, which we are opposing because we do have policies in place, and we don't have solitary confinement. We have, segregation, admin segregation, that kind of stuff. And so we try to point it out in our testimony in
I'm
detail.
sorry, Tommy, you kind of broke apart on that part, the solitary confinement bill.
Okay, yeah, so there's a solitary confinement bill. There was the same bill that came up about 2 years ago that wanted to change the way we do solitary confinement, but we don't have solitary confinement. I pointed out in our testimony, and I pointed out in our policy, we have administrative segregation, disciplinary segregation. We also have protective custody type settings. So I provide graphic testimony regarding if this bill were enacted, it would affect our ability to immediately react to violent situations. And the bill requires us to do hearings in a certain period of time. That's hard to do when the inmate just broke his cellmate's jaw. So I explained all in the testimony. I appreciate if you take a look at the testimony. And I apologize, I don't have the bill in front of me. I will email that to Christian, the bill itself, our previous testimony, so you have it. Other than that, there's not that many bills that affect public safety this year. There's the pet program bill we want to initiate at women's facility. We're all for it. We did have a preliminary meeting with the Humane Society, and they already did the first site inspection of women's, where we want to create a program similar to what we have in Arizona. And so we're going to move forward with that, even though we're only going to get 1 year of funding. We will eat as much of the cost as we can because we think it's worthwhile. And we think it's one of those programs that can help teach inmates how to care about something other than themselves and teach empathy. And so I think that's worth it, going out on a limb with doing this program. And I think it'll be successful in the end. We are looking at, we're working with the Office of Wellness on creating sensory cells in our hospice care units at Alava and Women's Prison. So that's in its infancy, but we are going to move to that. We anticipate the cost of about $50,000 per cell to do that. But what we want to do is make the cells for those in the hospice care look more like a home setting bedroom than a whole hard cell with bars. So we're working on that now with the Office of Wellness and the wardens at Halava and the wardens at Women's. Both those are the only two places we have the two infirmaries. We did request and receive additional positions for nursing so that we can have 24/7 nursing care at the 5 facilities that did not have it, which was Waiava, HCCC, Kulani, MCCC, and KCCC. So we're in the process of trying to fill those positions. In the interim, we're filling them with contract nurses until we can fill them with civil service nurses. What they will do is give us 24/7 nursing care at the facilities, and maybe we won't have to send so many inmates out for expensive care. But in the end, if the doctor on call or a nurse makes the call that the person needs to go to the emergency room, then we'll get them to the emergency room for sure.
Tommy, I read in the paper a couple of years ago about younger inmates helping those who are disabled and have some medical problems. And when we talked to Warden Clooney about it, he said it's really not that much help. I mean, they do help maybe get dressed in the morning and things like that. But as you consider a forensic center, is this something we could be training inmates to really be aides to those that are in the forensic center?
Well, we're not building a forensic center. We're building a consolidated healthcare unit.
I mean, I'm sorry. I was talking about. I mixed up. I'm sorry. My mind didn't follow me here today. No, I'm talking about the hospice. That could it be considered? Or I would like you to consider using inmates as the assistants in these units, if it is feasible. I think it's a good idea.
I don't have a problem with that, and I'll talk to the wardens because I think we should also pay them a decent wage to do that as well.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
25 cents an hour kind of thing. More money than that for sure.
Yeah, but it's like working with the dogs. It makes you more empathetic towards others.
That is correct.
Working with those who are ill.
I'll look into that for sure. But that's the only updates I have, subject to any questions the commission may have of me.
Any other further questions, commissioners? If not, thank you, Tommy. Appreciate your report. It's nice to meet you. Welcome to Hawaii, and we look forward to meeting you and having conversations. Mahalo. Our legislative priorities and on the agenda number 6. Real quick, we have been, we commissioners and Kristen have been going around talking to House representatives and House senators in regards to our budget. So just, I want to let everybody know, HB 1800 and Senate Bill 2234 is the particular budget for the, is that Attorney General?
For the
It's
state.
for the state.
For the state, I'm sorry, the governor's package. So we're listed in there. I want to have Kristen talk a little bit about what the budget is and what we're asking for. We haven't had any real hearings yet, but when those hearings come aboard, we hope that we can get some testimony from you folks in support. As far as
Can I
budget,
just add to that?
Yes.
Another thing that people in the public could help us with is writing to the chairs of the money committees.
Yep.
Pointing out the lines, and we can help you come up with the lines in the budget that support us. So, because when it comes time to testimony, they're getting overwhelmed with all this testimony. So I'd like to have a couple of things in early.
and just a reminder, sorry.
Yep.
So for you folks understanding, in the 2023 legislative session, the House and the Senate failed to concur on the budget for the Hawaii Correctional System Oversight Commission, and we were literally not funded. And you know, and it was through the grace of the governor's office that we were giving funds in order to operate this current year, and that runs out at the end of June. And so if we do not get the current budget approved, then we will have no staff come July 1st. And that's why we're really just focused on going around advocating and giving out the message of who the commission is and what do we do and what is the value to the state of Hawaii, and having the Oversight Commission part of our move to become more of or reforming our correctional system. When we submitted our budget from the commission perspective, those of you on the board, you guys already know this in the commission. It had to be reviewed by the Attorney General and then by Budget and Finance. As it gets reviewed before it gets to the governor office, everybody takes a piece of it. So I'll let Kristen explain that and get us to where we are now.
Yes, so based on last meeting's feedback, I did create a page on our website and it's called Help the Commission Exist. I know that feels dramatic, but that is our reality. So the commission is asking for $462,134. That includes 4 full-time positions. So the oversight coordinator position, which is my position, the special assistant to the oversight coordinator, the reentry and diversion oversight specialist. All 3 of us currently exist, and then 1 additional staff member who would be our jail oversight specialist. So that would be a new position. It also includes inter-island travel to go to our neighbor island facilities and also the neighbor island meetings, and out-of-state travel so we can go to Saguaro, memberships and conferences, and then general office supplies. The commission is an independent entity, and so even though we are administratively attached to the Attorney General's office, they actually don't take out of our budget. They will review it to just make sure that everything's in line the way that it should be written, but they won't remove anything. But Budget and Finance will, and they did. But nonetheless, our specific line item is ATG 100/EC. So again, we're a part of the Attorney General's budget. And so if you email your legislators or if you email the chairs, the Finance Committee chairs, make sure that you specify the line item number, like Martha said. All of the key legislators are listed on the website as well. We have their phone numbers, their email, and also their office number in case you wanted to schedule an in-person visit with them. And then lastly, we put an example of what you can say. If you did want to reach out to them directly, we kind of wrote a script that you can pull from and add whatever you would like. And then we also included key points. And so why oversight exists, why it's important, why we need it, et cetera, et cetera. If you have any questions about the legislative process, if you have any questions about how best to contact your legislators or what, you should be saying, if you wanted us to review anything or help, just email us at hcsoc@hawaii.gov. Again, all of this is on our website. But we're trying to be as helpful to the community as possible. So please let us know how we can help you help us. Thank you.
Mark?
Yes, Mike.
I second what Kristen's saying very strongly. Oversight is sweeping countywide, statewide, throughout the continent, the United States, and even internationally. All you gotta do is look at the newspaper. They're looking at it with TMT, they're looking at education. And I think we're not the card that flew out of the deck. It's part of the national trend. And I would support at some point, some kind of conference or gathering to have everyone understand oversight's welcome, it's productive, it's positive. It's not looking for scandals or pilikia. So that's, I think that's really important. And the judiciary provides oversight, which many people don't understand. We at the judiciary are not another agency. We're the third branch, we're the last say. Right, Ron?
Got it. May I say something else or no?
Yes, go ahead.
Not on that.
I'm done.
aspect, But I just want to respond to a statement Kat made that it was noted that the two judges on the commission did not submit testimony. We actually did through our chair, Mark. If you looked at his testimony, he starts as the Hawaii Correctional System Oversight Commission opposes. And so he being the chair, he represented the commission. Before he submitted the testimony, the written testimony was circulated among the commissioners. And we had a chance, which I made a small comment on, and I thought he did a great job. As Kat said, he did a great job. And certainly, he being the chair, he represented the commission. He represented my view. And the fact that I did not submit separate testimony does not make it that I didn't believe in the testimony that others had submitted. I strongly believed in it, but I believed in my protocol as a judge is we're a commission, we're a team, we have a chair, he represents us, we had input to give to him, and he did a great job. And that's all I have to say, but thank you very much for bringing it up.
And I second that again, or third it. Ron's on my speed dialer. We talk, we agree. Sometimes the best thing to do is let the chair speak it rather than too many voices. So thank you, Ron. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, gentlemen. We're referring to SB 3283, and I want to just, give out my aloha to all of you that submitted testimony, and for all of you that were there. Sometimes you wonder why they wait to the last hour of the working day, the last measure to be brought up in a hearing, and the fact that there was many people there in support and I'll just say it this way, in opposition of the bill. Yeah. 54 individuals provided testimony in opposition of the bill.
The
And
only thing that would have been worse than the way it happened at 3:01 agenda on a Friday afternoon is if it was a 3-day weekend.
Yes. Yes, I think it was heartwarming for me to see the correctional officers there. There were people that have been with the commission since COVID that I only know because of Zoom that showed up personally. And with the age of Zoom, you don't know when you see people in person, you always have to do one of these. Okay, I recognize you now, because you see them on Zoom all the time. But thank you folks for showing up. Carrie Ann, I know you were there, Kat and others have always been here on these Zooms with us. And so it was a good start for a good weekend, to have that, because there was a lot of stress leading up to that hearing. And really thankful for people that testified that we were never expected, and just the content of their testimony from their perspective with their titles was important, I think, to show the Committee on Public Safety that this was something that should not be passed, or should never have been brought to the legislation. So thank you so much for that. As we have heard what Kristen has been speaking about in terms of the budget, we want to go into the next item, agenda 7, and let's see what she has to report as well.
Okay, I, very briefly, a large part of the oversight coordinator report is actually on SB 3283, just highlighting what happened and the amount of people who came out to support the oversight coordinator position and also the commission as a whole. I will 100% get emotional if I start getting into this, so I'm just gonna say an overall thank you all so much. I was really taken aback, and I'm gonna get emotional, so I'm gonna move forward, but thank you all. The only other thing that we really highlighted in the oversight coordinator report was the correction staff survey and report that we are working very, very hard on. This is our top priority right now. You will see a heavy list of facilities that we visited. We went to every facility twice for the second and third watch. And my team and I literally walked post to post to talk with staff, to share the survey. We are currently inputting all of those responses now. We have a couple facilities finished already, so we can schedule those talk stories. But just so you all know, the next step to all this, now that the survey distribution is done, is Mark and I will be going to each facility to share the results with staff, and also, you know, ask them very directly, what are the recommendations that they need to see to change? If there's anything that's really wrong or anything that's being highlighted here, what are the recommendations to change that? We just wanted to make sure with this report that the recommendations are coming from the people who are actually doing the work. So that was a very important part for us. But we're very excited. It's coming along quickly. And so we'll keep you all posted on that process. But that's it for me this month. And thank you all so much again.
Are we at a point, Kristen, where we can give any kind of numbers in terms of responses per facility or as a whole?
I don't think that we have them off the bat, but I will have them for next meeting.
Commissioners, as the surveys are being taken, both online as well as hard copies, well, you folks the staff went into the facilities, gave hard copies, and then collected the hard copies, came back home. All of that information is going to the Criminal Institute for Justice.
Criminal Justice Research.
Research Institute, to correlate, yeah, and punch in the numbers and whatnot, and we're waiting for them as they finish the facilities, and begin to give us the information is when we're setting up the meetings to go back to those facilities to have roundtable type discussions, correct? And so right now we have Kauai.
We have Kulani and MCCC is finished.
Yep.
And then Halava is next on deck, which should be finished soon.
I'm excited to see what kind of numbers we will get in terms of response. I think our staff feels very confident that there was a large amount of at least correctional officer participation. Yeah, in terms of the hard copies. It was one thing for me to email, and thank you, Tommy Johnson, for allowing me to use his mailing email system to announce to all the employees of public safety about the survey. But at the same time, to allow our staff to go into the facilities and then one by one, post by post, hand out hard copies for those who would take the survey. So I think we got a good result. It was a good time for the commission to go out and introduce themselves for those who didn't know them and meet everybody. So it's a lot of hard work into that, and we're looking forward to our roundtable discussions throughout the state. And that's all.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for the oversight coordinator? Commissioners on their report? Hearing none. And in terms of agenda item number 8, commissioners, the HCR 23 task force has not met this year. We had some technical difficulties. For those of you who are listening, this will be our new home for our Zooms. We are actually in the office building, where the office is at. And, I think the first meeting that we tried to have with the HCR 23 here, we had some technical difficulties.
Well, the power was out.
Well, the power was out. That's right. Power went
More
out.
than
For the
technical.
whole.
More than technical, the whole building. Yes, this is a state building, so. As Martha
The church was
was
out
saying,
too.
yeah, so it happens. So we have our next meeting in March,
Yep, March 15th.
with the rest of the, task force, and probably not till April commission meeting will we be able to report out what we've done in the next task force meeting.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. If anybody else has any question on the task force, if not, I'm gonna open it back up to public comment on the agenda items. And whatever else
Got some hands up.
individuals here who are present here today, we can help you with. Remember, George, is it 2 minutes? It's 2 minutes for your testimony. Thank you again. And we'll start with Kat again, Kat.
Aloha, everyone. The solitary bill is being heard in Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs in the House tomorrow at 2 p.m. The bill number is 1812 HD1. It hasn't really changed. It's the bill that Ted and I worked on, and it's based on his P&Ps that were done in 2014, and then afterthoughts that he had about we need to create a pathway out for people, and we did that in that bill. Another bill that passed is SB 1392. The department came in and opposed that bill, saying that they did periodic reviews of pretrial detainees, 12,000, and only about 3 people were released. So it's a waste of time. We don't feel like that. We feel like when people come in, they're in their worst shape, and we want them to actually be assessed after they sort of get used to where they are and get a better assessment. So we testified that we'd like to see periodic reviews every 6 months. The chair called up Tommy and asked him, can you live with that? And Tommy said yes. So the periodic reviews will now be every 6 months for detainees, pretrial detainees. On the dog program that Tommy mentioned in Saguaro, actually the program in W is for cats. And it's a program to adopt cats. And we were really hoping for a program where people could learn how to be animal handlers and could help them get a job when they're released. I'll write to the commission on other issues.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Kat.
Kat.
Appreciate you. Any other hands?
Well, it's just after the holidays and then everything slows down in December, yeah.
Oh, Carrie Ann.
Mark, I saw dogs when I was at Saguaro, but that doesn't happen?
No, so Saguaro has a dog program.
Right.
What Kat's talking about is that bill, to create an animal program is specific for cats. And so she was just trying to highlight.
All right.
And I'd like to say we used to have that program at the old Hawaii State Prison because there were cats all over the yard.
Unofficial program?
Unofficial program, but the inmates took care of them.
Aloha, Carrie Ann.
Aloha and good morning, Chair, Commissioners, Oversight Coordinator, Carrie Ann Chivota on behalf of the ACL of Hawaii. We're very grateful that the community came out in support of the Oversight Coordinator and truly for the entire commission, because this was clearly an attack on oversight in general. Second, we just want to highlight some legislative priorities for us that I think also aligns with the mission of the Oversight Commission. There are several bills relating to cannabis legalization, and I can send you an email with the bill numbers. Cannabis decriminalization to increase the amount of possession from currently 3 ounces up to 3 grams up to 1 ounce. There's still a number of people that are being arrested and/or conviction for cannabis, essentially possession. There's a probation compliance, essentially like an earned time credits bill that is still alive, I believe, in one side of the House. And I just want to bring up our concern from the ACLU, which is hoping that the commission moving ahead, I understand budget is the priority, but we're looking at the population monthly reports, and it seems like some facilities still, right? There are facilities that are severely overcrowded. And I'm wondering moving forward in terms of population limits and what is being done and really placing the burden back on the director, correction and rehabilitation to talk about at each facility, what is the population? And again, what strategies are being employed, particularly in light of recommendations that are being made. And I think keeping that front and center is not only for the department, but also for the judiciary and for other entities, even including parole, that the decisions that they make contributes to the over incarceration and overcrowding in our different jails and prisons. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share those comments.
Thank you, Carrie Ann.
I have a comment.
Yeah,
There's no other public comment.
go ahead.
Mr. Chair, so, Cap mentioned Senate SB 1392, the periodic review, 6 months. And certainly, I don't speak for the commission because we haven't voted on this yet, but I just want to point out the benefits of that bill. Basically, under the Hawaii Rules of Penal Procedure, a defendant has a right to a speedy trial within 6 months from the date of arrest or the filing of the complaint, whichever is sooner, excluding certain periods. And well, we visited the facilities, the correctional facilities. Sometimes there's been people in the facilities longer than 6 months that have not gone to trial. So this bill would bring out those folks that have been in the facility for 6 months and not gone to trial. At least it will bring it to the attention of the courts, the lawyers, when public corrections, Department of Corrections write the review report based on 6 months of incarceration. And so certainly this would help in the overcrowding as far as either the person's going to go to trial before 6 months or the person's case might be dismissed because he or she has not gone to trial in 6 months. So I see great benefits in this bill, and thank you, Cap.
Anyone else?
Hear you laughing, Kat.
I wanted to thank Judge Ibarra because I actually picked his brain on this bill.
Very
And
good.
and Cap was the only one that testified, so the bill would have died. So thank you so much, Judge Ibarra.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Our next meeting will be Thursday, March 21st, and I believe we'll be on the island of Kauai. And we'll have that facility, and we will be touring the facility once again after our public meeting. With no further questions from our commissioners, I'll adjourn this meeting for today. And thank you, everyone, for being here today. Aloha.
Thank you.